in June. So this is about the time that Gil Mesh, and not just last year but most years of his career, kind of average in the month of May, but when he's had good years it's usually about June the 1st where he turns it up a notch.
Well, the weather gets a little warmer, and sometimes that's what guys wait on. Is you feel a lot looser and freer when they go out on the mound.
It's going to be ruled a foul ball by Chad Fairchild. So 0-2 on Scott Podsednik. Beautiful night at the ballpark and a huge crowd watching. 87 degrees. We started on time at 6:10. The official time and temp presented by the parking spot. Easy to spot, easy to park. The parking spot at KCA. Gil had one of his best starts of the year against the White Sox on opening day in Chicago, going up against Mark Burley. Took a no decision. Still 0-2 on Podsednik, but Gil on April the 7th, 7 innings, 7 hits, 1 earned run. The White Sox ended up winning that game 4-2. Curveball got him looking, and Podsednik knew it. Defense behind Gil Mesh tonight. Mitch Meyer will be in center field. Coco Crisp is still out with Bloomquist over to right. Another start for Luis Hernandez at shortstop. And John Buck behind the plate for Mesh. Now Alexi Ramirez, who had 3 hits, 2 RBIs last night. Of course, you know, when the Royals wear the Negro League uniforms, they are representing the Kansas City Monarchs. The White Sox are wearing the uniforms of the Chicago American Giants. That is a good looking bunt. Mark Teahen, all he'll do is go and pick it up. So 1 on, 1 out, and now the middle of the order coming up. Let's find Joel Goldberg, who's enjoying this beautiful weather and big crowd.
Well, hanging down here by the party porch, and I think I can honestly say that this is the most crowded that we have seen it all year. It took me a while just to get down here because I had to weave my way through people, and they have been here since batting practice. As almost seemed like Wrigley Field out here today, guys. They were oohing and eyeing and cheering as balls went in the fountains, and Ron Mayhay and some of the relievers that were shagging fly balls were throwing them up as souvenirs, and really good atmosphere out here today, although nice and calm right now for the moment. Frank, you should come out here.
Yeah, right.
We'd never see him again. Last night in the first inning, Jermaine Dye homered against Brian Bannister, his 13th of the year. Good pitch on the outside, 1-1 on Jermaine Dye. Ramirez at first base has 9 stolen bases this year. Dye hits it foul into the seats off the right field line. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Ramirez has really taken off for the White Sox when Ozzie Guillen gave him, we talked about this last night, gave him a couple of games off just to rest, see the game from a different angle, and then he brought him back in the number 2 position. Chance for 2. Callaspo, Hernandez, Butler. Gil Mesh off to a good start, faces only 3 in the first inning. Willie Bloomquist will lead off again. Mitch Meyer will bat in the number 2 position tonight with Billy Butler, who's really warming up, staying in the number 3 slot. David DeJesus moves back down to number 7, followed by John Buck and Luis Hernandez. And the Royals facing 30-year-old Mark Buehrle.
Well, he's tough when he has to be. Opponents hitting only 1-11 with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. So that's a good thing. But he was 6-1 in his first 9 starts in 09, 2-5 in 08. So that's a big turnaround for Mark Buehrle.
0-1 to Willie Bloomquist, who has great numbers against Mark Buehrle. That'll land in the seats off the first base side.
Willie has the ability to hit the ball the other way, and he can get inside the cutter and force it the other way, and that's one reason he's able to hit the ball back through the middle and stay on inside the cutter. But that's Mark Buehrle's signature pitch, the right-handed hitter.
Long run for Anderson, and on a diving attempt didn't get it, and this is going to be 3 for Bloomquist. On an 0-2 pitch.
Well, we said earlier that this is a changeup that went down, and Willie just went down with it and just dug it right out down the middle end and really hit it in the left center field. But you know, once the outfielder leaves his feet and doesn't catch the ball, then that's just, you're free to run as long as you can run before they get the ball back in.
So 3rd triple for Bloomquist. Boy, the Royals really piling up the triples as Meyer fouls it away. Mitch appeared late in the game last night and walked. And he's had some success against Mark Buehrle. Buehrle will make this play and throw out Meyer, and the Royals lead 1-0. So a triple and a ground out, and the Royals lead 1-0.
Mitch does a great job staying on this. But hit the perfect ball right here. Willie did a great job reading this high hopper off Meyer's bat, and Buehrle makes the play to first base.
And now Billy, 2 hits, including his 4th home run last night. It was a year ago today that Billy Butler was playing his first game of the year in AAA. Got off to a slow start at the big league level. A year ago yesterday was optioned out to AAA, there for about a month to get his swing back. So a big step forward for him this year. And now a year later he's batting 3rd. He has a 6-game hitting streak and back to using all fields. 2-1.
Yeah, Billy's kind of like Willie Bloomquist in his ability to get inside the cutter and keep the ball in the middle of the field, and it kind of takes that pitch away from Mark Buehrle.
Good change up, 2-2. Full count. Royals scored 2 runs in 5 innings against Buehrle on opening day when he hooked up with Gilmesh, and Royals were getting their hits against Buehrle. Buehrle also walked a few, but just couldn't come up with the big hit. Buehrle pitched extremely well with men on base. In fact, the Royals left 9 runners on base against Buehrle alone in that game.
Well, you like to be able to get that many runs on the night, but you want to play at least 6 of them. That'll be just about perfect for the Royals.
Ramirez stumbled, so his throw was low, and Konerko bails him out. 2 down in the first inning. And let's find Joel Goldberg still out in right field.
Yeah, still out in right field, and this is the sun field. From the moment Jermaine Dye got out here, and he is really just right in front of me. You keep seeing him do this. And really what he's doing is he's looking in for his positioning to their outfield coach in the dugout, but he can't see him. See the plate okay from here and should be able to pick up the ball. Certain pop-ups could be difficult, but he's trying to pick up those signals, and the only way to do that is to block out that sun, guys.
All right, Joel, another thing we've learned since the Royals have gone to these 6-10 games on Saturdays is that it can be difficult for the hitter early on. Ian pulls that one foul off to the left field side, but the pitcher is standing in a little streak of sunlight. The hitter is in the shadows, and the backdrop is in the bright sunlight. So that's a different look that you get exclusively in a 6-10 game. It doesn't look like that for a 1-10 game or a 7-10 game. It's 3-1 on Guillen. Guillen 0 for 3 last night. Works a full count. And strikes out Burley's first, but the Royals get a triple, a ground out from Meyer, and take the lead. Willie Bloomquist with a triple, coming home on a ground out, and he is playing his 7th position tonight. Here's tonight's Toyota League leaders, and that is the most in the major leagues, with Fernando Tatis, Ben Zobrist, and Jerry Hairston Jr. He's also done some of his best work defensively in right field.
Well, when he's in the outfield, Ryan, he really comes up with some great plays, and usually he's off his feet, diving, making great plays to the line, and every time they put him in the outfield before the night's over, he's going to make a great play somewhere.
Jim Thome leads off, 1 for 3 last night. .43 home runs in his career against the Royals. So we're talking about a pitcher tonight in Mark Burley, and a hitter, Jim Thome, two of the most prolific against the Royals since 1969. Thome is out as Mesh gets him on a 2-0 pitch, 1 away in the 2nd inning.
It's not very often you see a second baseman making a ground ball put out from maybe 30 feet on the infield grass. I mean, that is just a guy who's really hitting the ball in an area you know he's going to hit it. And this is Jim Thome, just a straight pull hitter. Casco gets way back there. It was a lot easier when I did it on turf, but when you're on grass, you got to really come hard to make sure you get a good hop.
And it helps that Thome isn't very fast. That's in the seats. 0-1 to Paul Konerko. 2 hits, 2 RBIs last night. Everyone in the White Sox starting lineup had at least 1 hit 1 run scored. 7 of the 9 had an RBI. And finished with 11 runs on 17 hits. 1 ball, 1 strike. 6th year Ozzie Guillen has been manager of the White Sox. World Series championship in 2005. They won the division last year, winning a 1-game playoff with Minnesota. And the Royals had their fingerprints on that, taking 2 out of 3 from the Twins to end the year. If Minnesota had taken 2 out of 3 in that series, they would have won the division and there would have been no 1-game playoff.
Yeah, that's what makes September so much fun. You get an opportunity to be in the race, and also you get an opportunity to be a spoiler if you're not in the race. But just having those games to play for late when you're trying to win really makes it a lot of fun.
2 down, and now A.J. Pierzynski. Sunday, NASCAR on Fox heads to Dover, Delaware, where Kyle Busch will try to defend his title against a full field of the world's best drivers. Coverage of Sprint Cup Series racing presented by McDonald's from Dover begins Sunday at 12:30 in high definition on Fox. And now Pierzynski, who had 3 hits and now has 9 hits in his last 3 games at Kauffman Stadium. Two and 0. Gill's last start Monday against Detroit, similar to this, a huge crowd, but only able to go 2 1/3 innings. Gave up 4 runs, 6 hits, and the Tigers went on to win that game 13-1. And Gill never really found his control. He was hurt by an error in the first inning, which led to a couple of runs. That's his first walk. 4 pitches to Pierzynski.
But one thing you notice right away about Gill is he is getting his fastball in the zone. It's not as erratic as it was his last start. So he is down in the zone. He's off the plate a little bit, but he is down, and I think that's a good sign right now. And going back to Willie Bloomquist leading off that triple, getting a run on the board early, I think that takes a little pressure off also.
Shallow right, Cayaspo near the line makes the play, so the walk doesn't hurt Mesh. Only needs 1 more pitch to finish off the Sox in the second. Presented by Sprint. Who is your favorite Royal utility man? A. Willie Bloomquist. B. Jamie Quirk. C. Desi Relaford, or D. John Wathen, who ran well for a utility man.
You really have to get that in, don't you? Dude, that's Duke's pride thing, you know. If you had to get all the catchers together in a hat, you'd definitely come up with he ran well for a catcher.
But he doesn't like that. He just, why can't I just run well?
Because he was a catcher.
Well, 3 of the 4, I believe, are in the building tonight. I have seen 2 of them in person. 2 and 2 on Mark Tien.
He'll be up here visiting the booth here in a minute.
There's one of them.
Well, Jamie will never say that.
Jamie runs well for a guy eating nachos at a ball game. Konerko to the bag himself to get Tien, 1 down in the 2nd inning. There's Duke, who was in uniform during batting practice, and thankfully not next to one of the television monitors here in the stadium, although I think word will eventually get to him.
Oh boy.
And now Alberto Callaspo, who had been slumping, but one of the things that was lost in an 11-2 loss last night was a couple of hits and a walk for Alberto, getting his average up to .313. Been a much better hitter from this side of the plate, hitting over 400, well over 400. Burley falls behind 3-0. Three balls, 2 strikes. Burley, one of the fastest, if not the fastest working pitcher in the American League. And I've seen hitters try to slow him down, stepping out, taking a little extra time. I don't know if I've ever seen that work. I mean, you might slow him down, but it doesn't necessarily affect his rhythm or his effectiveness. As Callaspo flies out to center field. I mean, he throws the pitch, doesn't get any further than about 6 inches away from the rubber when he gets a throw back from the catcher, and he's just ready to go.
I'm sure they've tried it early in his career, and he just probably got accustomed to it, so it doesn't bother him anymore. He knows what he wants to do, and he just wants the hitter to set his feet in the box and, okay, guys, here we go.
Fouled away by David DeJesus. Well, the Royals have some lefties in there tonight who have done well against Burley. Meyer, Tien, but DeJesus is not one of them. And he's seen a whole lot of Mark Burley, 56 at-bats before tonight. Now, the only somewhat surprise of that is that David is normally a good hitter against left-hand pitching, and Burley is not one of those lefties that carves up left-hand hitters.
Now, he's around the plate, and you just got to kind of look off speed if you're a left-handed hitter.
And with that ground out, DeJesus now 9 out of 57 against Burley. at Colorado.com. 1-0 Royals as we go to the third inning. A Willie Bloomquist triple in the first. Mitch Meyer got him home with a ground ball. Mesh has given up 1 hit, 1 walk in his first 2 innings and delivers ball 1 to Chris Getz. Two-0. Well, I think every spot at Kauffman Stadium is good tonight, but Joel's been having a lot of fun out on the Pepsi party porch.
Yes, this is a tame bachelor party. They've been out here since batting practice. This is Tim, and it says right here, groom to be. And then his buddy, Jason, he's got, remember those white sunglasses in Oakland?
Yeah. Yes. Nice.
Does it work or no? All I hear is Frank's evil laugh. I'll give him back on that note. It's packed out here, guys, and everybody's having a good time.
Joel, you passed the food tasting now? You don't do any more food tasting at all?
No food. I'm leaving that obviously to Jamie tonight.
Four-pitch walk from Mesh to Chris Getz, bringing up Josh Fields. And Brian Bannister, hearing his comments after the game last night, agreed with us that double from Josh Fields was really the big hit for the White Sox. It turned a 1-0 game into a 3-0 game, and when the final is 11-2, it's hard to say which one was the big hit. But no runners were home in the second inning. There were 2 outs. The count was 1-2 on Fields. He doubled, followed by another hit, and all of a sudden it was 4-0.
Well, 4-0 early, that's sort of huge considering the way the Royals have been offensively going. It kind of puts a little pressure on your offense. Your offense really needs a game like today. Gil's gone out and put a couple zeros up and giving him a chance to get on the board and just trying to find his way on the mound too. So it's really working for both sides right now.
Now last night Bannister jumped ahead with a good fastball, 1-2. Gil just jumped ahead with a good fastball, 0-2. Bannister came back with a curveball, which resulted in a double.
Well, that's kind of been the way it's been going, fastball, curveball, but you got to back those pitches up sometimes, like Gil did right there. And that was when you do have to go to your breaking ball, it's that much more effective. So you're not playing the fastball, strike, breaking ball game with the hitter all the time. So he doesn't know what you're going to do now. So Gil's got a good fastball going, and he had it in a good spot.
Cutter is outside, 1-2. Fields finished the night with 3 hits. He had come into the game hitting just .229, but like the weather, his bat is starting to warm up. He's hit in 5 straight games. Chris Getz has stolen 4 bases this year, thrown out once. Now it's difficult for him and for Billy Butler, and you can see the sunlight on his face. There's a streak of sunlight right behind him, so kind of has to look through the glare to see Gilmesh. That'll last for another half inning or so. And now he's running, pitches inside, and the throw skips past Hernandez and Callaspo, and Getz will move up to third base. That'll be a stolen base and an error on Buck.
I think catchers, when they let the ball go to second base, they really want those guys to try to block the ball. But that ball really ran away from Luis Hernandez and really got between the runner, got between him and the ball at that point, and he didn't have a chance to make that play. Probably had he not got a glove on it, Mitch Meyer would have been probably in a better position to hold Getz at second base.
And now the runner at third and nobody out. The Royals will bring the infield in halfway. Gil could use a strikeout. And instead, a fly ball slicing deep into the right field corner, and it's going to land foul. That was very close to a 2-run home run.
You know, that bright sun down there, it was really kind of hard to see where that ball landed from our seat here. and it's still a little difficult to see. Like it might have hit right on top of the rail, maybe.
So a 4-pitch walk, a stolen base, and an error, and tying run at third with nobody out. Slice to Callaspo. No chance for a double play, but the Royals get the out, and Getz is still at third.
Well, the infield land, I think this is probably the best ball you can have hit to you when the infield land. Just a little soft line drive, and he was already getting himself in position not only to make the catch, but to go right to third.
Now, is that a crow hop?
He had already went into the crow hop as he was catching the ball.
But it was a crow hop.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's it. The crow hop takes you forward. You have a lot of guys that'll jump straight up and down in the same spot, but they don't go anywhere.
Shallow left. Gets tagging. And DeJesus could underarm it to the plate from there. He goes to third, trying to catch Getz off the bag. Hernandez going over to cover. So runner at third, nobody out. Gets his runner at third with 2 down.
Well, David really does a good job getting behind this ball so he can be in real good position to throw in case Getz wanted to try to score on that play.
Here's tonight's Roadrunner turbo speed pitch comparison. He'll mesh in the first 2 innings. Up to 94. Mark Burley at 89. You can double your speed with Roadrunner Turbo from Time Warner Cable. Curveball hangs high. Ball 1 on Alexi Ramirez, who laid down a beautiful drag bunt in the first inning. So he has 4 hits already in the series. Gill pitching him inside. 2-0. You would think a right-hand batter wouldn't want to dig in against Gill with his curveball and his fastball in the mid-90s, but right-hand hitters hitting .324 against him so far. A cutter on 2-0.
I think a lot of that, Ryan, is because Gill has a pitching side a little bit more to right-handers, but he threw a fastball in on Ramirez that got him to move back a little bit, and now he throws his cutter, and he can't really pull the trigger on it. So I think the biggest thing with Gill in right-handed pitchers is that his reluctance to go inside has drawn those right-handed hitters out over the plate, and they've been able to get a lot of cheap hits with 2 outs.
Good curveball, 2-2.
I'm sorry, with 2 strikes.
You know, another thing that Gill does that may not lend itself to an advantage over the right-hand batters is that he's over on the first base side of the rubber, so he doesn't have that extreme angle against a right-hand batter if he was on the third base side of the rubber.
Yeah, that is true. A lot of pitching coaches like to have you on that right side because that way the appearance to the right-handed hitter is that you're behind him.
That was almost Joakim Soria-like, a big slow curveball, and Gill gets out of it. White Sox with a runner at third, nobody out, fail to score. legacy seats and enjoying a 1-0 Royals lead. Trey Hillman is out to talk to home plate umpire Chad Fairchild and first base umpire Paul Nart, and Miguel Olivo is in the Royals on deck circle. Apparently something must have happened to John Buck in the top of the third inning, which is a shame because John and Gilmesh got around a runner at third and nobody out in the third inning to preserve the 1-0 lead. So Miguel Olivo will lead off, followed by Luis Hernandez and Willie Bloomquist. Olivo last night was 0 for 4.
I say so much for a relaxing day for Miguel Olivo. All of a sudden you're pressed into duty. You got to get that adrenaline going.
Shallow left and Ramirez out from short. Retire Olivo. One down in the third inning. Let's find Joel Goldberg.
Well, I thought we'd ask John Wathan, our Sprint You Call It question, best Royals utility player of all time, and it was Bloomquist, Cork, Relaford, or yourself. And I should tell you that Ryan was saying that you run pretty well for a utility man.
Thanks, Rhino. I appreciate it. I guess if I win something, I'd probably vote for myself. But if I don't, I'd probably vote for what I've seen of Willie Bloomquist right now. Jamie, of course, came up as a shortstop, and then he went to third base, and then he caught. I don't think he played in the outfield. But Willie, other than not being able to catch, he probably could catch, but he hasn't yet in the big leagues. He can play it pretty well all over the field.
All right, we'll let you work because we know you're scouting. If there's a parting gift, he'll vote for himself. I did come down, guys, by the way, and I said, I got a question for you. And he said, what? Run pretty well for a catcher? See? He hadn't heard it yet, but he already knew as soon as he saw me, Ryan. Right?
Anything to do with baseball, John Wathan and Ryan Lefevre, that has to be the question.
Back upstairs to you guys.
Pass Burley, backed up by Getz. Burley tried a little hockey-style kick save to knock that down. So 2 down in the third inning, and here are the early results. Well, the fans thinking along with John Wathan, 43% for Willie Bloomquist. And, you know, Willie, one of those guys who kind of ruins it for the others because he goes from position to position and makes it look so easy that someone that might come in after him, I don't know who the Willie Bloomquist is for the Seattle Mariners this year, but you figure the pressure on him, they say, well, Willie could move from position to position and not have any trouble.
Well, you're right, Ryan. The biggest thing you said there was that he makes it look so easy. I mean, fundamentally, he is so good on his ground balls, on his outfield technique, on his base running, and that just really makes him stand out. That's why you have more and more people saying, why can't this guy play every day?
Through the right side, Getz, who made a great play on Bloomquist last night, doesn't complete the play tonight. The defensive play of the game last night was Chris Getz diving on a bullet from Willie Bloomquist. Took a hit away from him, but not this time.
Well, he really did a great job staying with this ground ball. The ball really takes a big hop, and he really stays with it and dove. And, you know, when he got a speed like Willie Bloomquist and hitting the ball to the right side, it's going to be a tough play to get him at first base. And this is one play he's seeing right in front of him. He sees where he's got to go, and he's just digging. He just got to see. It looked like he got there faster when you look at the replay. But those are kind of hits that when they're right there in front of you, you see it developing. I mean, you start to smell that base hit, and you really let it go. And
now Mitch Meyer, who followed Willie's triple in the first inning with a Grounder back to Burley, which scored Bloomquist and Mitch's 4th RBI of the year. 1 ball and no strikes. Here's another guy like Willie Bloomquist who has moved around quite a bit, although he has not been labeled a utility player. Maybe he's more of a backup at the big league level, but still a guy that the Royals were searching for a regular spot for, and that's driven into deep right center field. Nobody's going to get to it. Meyer is going to drive in Bloomquist again. 2-0 Royals.
Well, this is a curveball. Mitch just stayed with it and really got good extension on it and drove it into right center field. And Mitch has that kind of speed that everybody love to have in their backup outfielders. That guy that can go in and steal a base and circle the bases like Mitch. Excellent base runner. He makes good turns and it goes into third base standing up. Well, Mitch, I tell you, Ryan, Mitch might be one of those guys that could probably be a Willie Bloomquist. I mean, he played third base. And, you know, he can play all the outfield positions. Probably could play first base if they wanted him to in a pinch. But he does have those skills.
Look at the Royals lead in triples. That's the way it was in the 70s and the 80s when you played, and the Royals literally ran away from everyone else in the league in that department.
Well, it's nice to have that AstroTurf, too.
Billy chasing a pitch in the dirt. He grounded out to short in the 1st inning. With 2 outs and nobody on in the count 0-2, Bloomquist reaches with an infield single and Meyer triples him home. 2-2 on Butler, who has really responded as a clutch hitter since moving into the number 3 position. This is what he's done all season. .390 with runners in scoring position. That's the 6th best number in the league. And I imagine when you were managing the Wichita Wranglers that there were quite a few times when Billy was driving home Mitch Meyer.
Well, that's the truth. Mitch led off some for me down there, and I tell you, you lead the league in hitting. You've done a lot of good things right, and Billy was one of those guys that every day you picked the lineup card out, his name was fun to put in there. Well, Mitch is one of those guys that if he gets on base, he can steal a base for you. He can go first to third. He can score on a double. It's not that he can't do once he's on the bases.
Did he get a piece? No. Jarzynski tags him out, and that's the inning. The Royals get a 2-out run and lead 2-0. Baseball Museum. Second time we've seen you this year.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me back. So I guess I didn't do too bad the first
No,
time.
you did just fine. So we thought we'd invite you back again. It was Jackie Robinson Day the last time you were here, and now the Royals honoring the Monarchs and the White Sox honoring the American Giants.
Yeah, Chicago American Giants. Ruth Foster's Chicago American Giants. They were a great team. They were a great team. Every bit the rival of the Kansas City Monarchs.
Mitch Meyer almost made a great play on Jermaine Dye's drive to center field. And Jermaine is going to end up with a leadoff triple. So for the second consecutive inning, the White Sox are going to have a runner at third with nobody out, and that's Jermaine's first triple of the year. And we began the broadcast tonight, Bob, talking about somewhere Buck O'Neil has got a big smile on his face because it's a beautiful Saturday night in KC, and the guys are wearing the Negro League uniforms.
You know, he would be absolutely delighted, and I'm sure it is. He's smiling down. His guys are here. They're carrying on the legacy that he helped build here. And, you know, 20,000 fans walking around with Monarch jerseys on. He would absolutely be delighted.
Well, this was one of my favorite days when I was coaching down there, when I got an opportunity to put the uniform on and just get a different feel.
Another blast to center field, taking Meyer back to the wall. He catches this one. Jermaine could walk home from third. Well, the question keeps coming up. How does the ball carry at New Kauffman Stadium? And we've been waiting for some warm weather, and depending on how you look at those two drives, either you could say it's not carrying enough to sail over the fence, but then again, this is one of the deeper center fields in the American League.
Well, too, Ryan, when you have Jermaine Dye and Jim Thome squaring balls up, they're going to go. I mean, it may not go for somebody like me hitting it, but when those guys hit the ball, especially when they hit it in that area, that means they've stayed on it and they've really got the bat head to the ball pretty good. So,
Bob, I think I've asked you this question several times. I asked Buck once. I don't think I ever got a definitive answer from him, but he always seemed to feel that eventually somebody from the Negro Leagues would get to the big leagues.
Yes.
But I always wondered, could he ever have imagined major league players wearing their uniforms?
You know, I don't think so. I really don't, because, you know, you think about those guys. They played the game. They loved the game. But when they were done playing, they really didn't think that they had done anything special. They were making their living playing the game of baseball. But they had no idea that they were making history, and so to see Major League Baseball and its teams and its players embrace this history in this manner, it was very, very thrilling for all of those guys. But I couldn't imagine that they ever would have thought or dreamed that one day baseball would be paying this kind of respect for what they had done, because they were just doing what they, doing what they do, playing baseball, feeding their families, taking care of their families, playing the game that they love.
but it's always nice to be remembered.
It is.
And I believe the documentary that Ken Burns did along with Buck O'Neil, that really just put everything out in the forefront, and really those players, like the players we saw take the line tonight.
Oh yeah.
You know, those guys, you could see the pride in those guys as they walked out to the line.
They love it, and you're right. We all want to be remembered, and certainly while they didn't think that they were making history or anything of that nature, it thrills them now to have modern-day baseball fans show the kind of appreciation, the warm appreciation that has been bestowed upon these men in Major League ballparks throughout the country, and certainly here in Kansas City, where we actually started this kind of ceremony. It means a great deal to all of us.
And of course, if you want to learn as much as you can possibly learn in one place in the whole world about the Negro Leagues, 18th and Vine in KC.
18th and Vine, man. Come down and see us.
Pierzynski is thrown out by Hernandez. White Sox get one run. Royals still have the lead, and there's a shot of the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. And Bob Kendrick, always good to see you.
They're always too quick.
Take it. to get on the board against Gilmesh. And now Jose Guillen taking ball one from Burley. He'll be followed by Mark Tien and Alberto Callaspo. A similar pitch to that last one struck out Guillen in the first inning when Burley got him with a changeup. And now Jose is 0 for his last 8. 2 runs scored by Bloomquist, 2 RBIs from Mitch Meyer. 1-2. Tonight's Firestone leaderboard takes a look at the American League leaders in wins. Zach Greinke and Roy Halladay with 8. Nobody has 7. Guillen strikes out. That's the 3rd for Burley and a 2nd against Guillen. And Mark Burley tied for 3rd with his 6 wins, 6-1. Mark Burley has never won 20 games in a season, as good as he's been. He's won 19 before, but never 20. Mark Tien grounded out to first in the 2nd inning. Two and 0. Tien was asked about his success against Mark Burley and said he really doesn't have a secret, but one thing that he did feel attributed to his success was that as he loops one over third, was that any time you're facing a good pitcher, you're going to have better concentration and you're going to pay attention to every little thing the pitcher does and every little spot that he hits. And anytime you have better concentration, there's a chance you're going to have more success.
Right, and you really would like to see that concentration against any pitcher, you know, because you're basically trying to get a base hit, and if you keep separating your concentration because of a good pitcher versus a guy who's not known, then you're always going to be in a position where you're not going to have that consistent at bat and a consistent production on the field on a daily basis.
1 on 1 out, and now Callaspo flied to center his first time. Burley, one of the best moves in all of baseball. He has the ability to absolutely shut down a running game, which is good news for the White Sox because they've had a tough time this year throwing out base stealers. Royals did not have a stolen base last night, but so far opponents are 41 out of 45 stealing second or third base against Chicago.
I talked to White Sox broadcaster Ed Farmer, and he was I asked him about that same thing. I said, you know, why is the stolen base ratio so high? And he went more, you probably look at the catcher first and say the catcher doesn't throw very well or he's not quick to second base, but he points out that he doesn't believe that the White Sox pitchers do a real good job of holding runners. And then really, so there's really a balance there. If they're quick to the plate, then it gives the catcher an opportunity to throw runners out.
Tien so far just 1 stolen base. He does not have a challenging lead over at first. Two and 0.
But when you face the Tigers, Ryan, everybody seen they threw out on the mound was 95, 96, 97, and now Burley's the complete opposite of a guy who changes speeds, and this is really a tougher guy to hit because hitters don't have much of a problem speeding themselves up, but they have a problem slowing themselves down and adjusting a lot of off speed, and Burley's that kind of pitcher.
His move is so good that he not only takes care of the running game as far as stolen bases, but he also can shut down the hit and run game because you really don't want the base runner thinking about taking off early for second base. Even though the rule is you never get picked off on a hit and run, he still will pick guys off. And he gets a ground ball double play, 5-4-3 to get out of the 4th inning. but Gil Mesh prevented a big inning by pitching Paul Konerko well.
Well, he did a good job of throwing fastball, back-to-back fastballs, and there's a curveball right there. Another fastball that was hit foul. Then he just really hung a curveball and got away with it, and then he got a ground ball to Luis Hernandez at shortstop.
Now the lower third coming up in the 5th inning, and Anderson showing bunt. Lexi Ramirez in the 1st inning lay down a bunt to the third base side, catching T and deep. Anderson popped out to Cayaspo in the 2nd inning. And a cutter for a strike, and Gil ahead 0-2. White Sox have had a base runner in every inning. Royals turned a double play in the 1st. 96 outside, 2-out walk in the 2nd. Gil got around a runner at 3rd, nobody out in the 3rd, but a triple and the sac fly in the 4th. The White Sox on the board. Dye with the triple, Thome with the sac fly.
You know, Ryan, we talked about Gil Mesh being on the left side of the rubber, and we talked about right-handed hitters against. But the reason he's on that side is because it enables him to get to the outside corner better to right-handed hitters.
Another slow curveball for a strikeout, and that's 3 for Gil tonight. Another loss for a team in the Central Division. It was Tampa Bay beating Minnesota. Here's Joel.
Yeah, and in that game, guys, David Price, the big-time prospect who was up last year in the postseason, got his first major league win, and so Minnesota losing, and some of those teams keep on losing, helping out the Royals as they struggle. Maybe a chance to gain some ground tonight, guys.
Well, last night everyone lost except for Chicago, who beat the Royals, so Minnesota drops to 3 games below 500 at 24-27. The only team that is above 500 in the division is the Tigers. Joel has an update on their game.
And Justin Verlander pitching in that one, and that's not good for the Royals because Detroit is on top 3-0 in that game, and Cleet Thomas homering in the game, his 2nd of the season for Detroit as he goes deep in that one. Detroit 26-21 on the year, still in first place, and out to a 3-0 lead in the 4th, guys.
Getz stays alive with a foul ball. It's still 2-2. The Royals will wrap up the next road trip against a Central team. They'll take on the Cleveland Indians. 2nd trip to Cleveland. Will begin the trip at Tampa Bay and at Toronto. Foul off to the right side. Royals' next homestand will be interleague. Cincinnati Reds and St. Louis Cardinals will be here. No swing. It's 3 balls, 2 strikes. So the Royals to Tampa Bay, to Toronto, and then Cleveland. Excuse me, Cincinnati, Arizona, and St. Louis will be here on the next homestand. Gil with his 4th strikeout. 2 down in the 5th inning.
This is vintage Gil Mesh curveball right here, Ryan. This ball just goes in there and just dives right out of the zone.
All 4 of his strikeouts tonight with the curve. And a fastball at 94 on the outside corner to Josh Fields, who had a soft liner to 2nd in the 3rd inning. I want to remind you about the 2nd annual Sky Show that's coming up on that next homestand when the Cincinnati Reds are here on Friday, June the 12th. Hy-Vee Pepsi and 106.5 The Wolf are bringing a complete audio visual spectacular, the biggest fireworks show in the Midwest. If you like fireworks, you want to be here that night. Going to be an even bigger show than last year. Gil has not retired the side in order yet tonight. off of Fields' front foot. Still 1-2. Gilmesh winless in his last 4 starts, and his ERA well over 5 in that stretch. He also has not won at home yet this year, but off to a very good start tonight. Olivo wanted it over the inside part of the plate, but didn't get the call from Chad Fairchild.
Let's say this is close, Ryan. Oh, so close. And I think if Gilmesh had to do it all over again, he'd want that pitch again right there.
And the fastball just missed up and away. Gil has struck out Anderson and Getz in this inning. Started the game with John Buck behind the plate, but after Gil got out of the top of the 3rd, John Buck injured himself and did not bat in the bottom of the 3rd. Into left center, and DeJesus is going to have to chase this one deep, and it's going to roll to the wall. Fields will hold at second base with a 2-out double. So taking a couple of close pitches, working a full count, and Fields hits his 5th double of the year. Well, tomorrow it's Zach Greinke going for his 9th win. Should be a good pitching matchup with John Danks on the mound. Zach has already beaten the White Sox. Tomorrow's game begins at 1:10. Coverage at 12:30 with Royals Live. Royals and White Sox in HD tomorrow. Big crowd watching tonight as the Royals lead 2-1 in the top of the 5th inning. And now Scott Podsednik. A little different depth for Podsednik than the Royals were with Josh Fields.
Yeah, we talked about him sliding up in the box yesterday, moving his feet, and I asked Greg Walker about that today, and he basically said that he does it to shorten his swing. You know, if he stayed back, it's a longer swing, but by moving up, he just shortens his swing, and it puts him up in front of the box and actually gives him a better chance of hitting the breaking ball at the same time.
Well, I ran into Podsednik and I told him about the discussion we had and all the different theories we came up with, and along those same lines he said that he has a tendency to spin out on his back foot, too much pressure on his back foot, so by shuffling forward it puts a little bit more momentum moving forward as opposed to leaning back,
and gets the weight on his balls of his feet a lot more and keeps him forward. Okay, I can understand that.
Bill strikes him out. He strikes out the side and has 5 in the game. Runs scored from Willie Bloomquist in the first and third innings. David DeJesus, Miguel Olivo, and Luis Hernandez in the fifth inning against Mark Burley. Podsednik from the shadows into the waning sunlight. David is 0 for 2. Miguel Olivo batted leading off the bottom of the third inning. It was supposed to be John Buck. This is the top of the third. And Gil Mesh getting around a runner at third and nobody out, and finished the inning off by striking out Alexi Ramirez. Didn't appear anything happened there, but when he got back to the dugout, he had to be helped to the clubhouse. Low back spasms.
That'd be pretty serious for them to have to help carry him down the stairs like that. I've never experienced those, but I've seen guys who had those before, so they really can hold you up for a while.
So Olivo batted in the third, popped out to short. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, there are certain parts of the body that can be sore or almost shut down, and you can still play with it. The back is not one of them.
There's not much you can do without your back, I'll tell you. Sometimes just simple standing and having the pressure come down on the back is even too painful.
Burley has struck out 3 in his first 4 innings. Make it 4. 2 down in the 5th inning. Faith and Family Day returns to Kauffman Stadium on Sunday, June the 14th. You can enjoy a game against the Cincinnati Reds starting at 1:10. Stay after the game for the Sprint Fun Run and then a free concert by Mercy Me. Again, that's Sunday, June the 14th. Royals have a nice long homestand after the road trip. Luis Hernandez singles with 2 outs. He's 1 for 2. Royals scored their second run in the third inning with 2 outs and nobody on, and the count 0-2 on Willie Bloomquist. Willie reached with an infield single, and Meyer tripled him home. And now here's Bloomquist with 2 away. 2 for 2. He has scored both times. Oh and 1. Let's update You Call It, presented by Sprint. And 39% say that Willie Bloomquist is your favorite Royal utility man, followed by Desi Relaford, who could also play both the infield and the outfield. John Wathan simply was too fast to make the list tonight. Jermaine Dye got a good break on that line drive from Bloomquist, and that's the inning. Royals lead 2-1 at the end of 5. And in the third inning, Mitch Meyer. Bloomquist has scored twice. Meyer 2 RBIs. Coors Light Freeze Cam brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. 20 triples for the Royals this season, and a big lead in the American League in that department. Callaspo is guarding the middle, so a perfect spot to throw out Alexi Ramirez. He's 1 for 3. Gilmesh in pretty good shape in regard to pitch count. He's only had 1 inning where he's gone over 20. Here's the James B. Nutter pitch count tonight. 73 total. 45 strikes. He has walked 2. Both of those were 4 pitch walks. And he has struck out 5. Gil has only allowed 1 home run all year. But he nearly gave up a home run to Jermaine Dye in the 4th inning. Jermaine hitting it off the wall in straightaway center field. Two balls and 1 strike. Jermaine coming around to score on a sac fly from Jim Thome. Jermaine grounded into a double play in the 1st inning. Good pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, Gil's really done a good job of moving his fastball around. He's pitching both sides of the plate, and his curveball is real sharp, and he's using that mainly as a strikeout pitch right now.
In fact, if I have observed correctly today, all 5 of his strikeouts have come on the curveball.
Right.
That curve is pulled foul.
Well, that
There's a nice catch. See that grab?
David's a hero.
I think she was screaming at David before David threw her that ball. She will never wash that baseball for the rest of her life. You know how they say when you shake someone's hand, I'm never going to wash that hand ever again.
Well, you can believe it about the baseball.
And then Jeff Cox boots one in the third base coach's box. Slicing to the line in right field, but landing foul. Well, so far the gal in the left field corner has had the best hands.
Had too many hands in that one.
Jermaine has fouled off 4 in a row, and now Gil puts him away with a curve. 6 strikeouts, 2 down in the 6th inning.
Well, this is a curveball he wants to throw for the strikeout. He really wants it to get off the plate and down, and even if he bounces it, he could probably live with that. And he did a great job right there on Jermaine Dye. Really predicated on the fastballs that he threw early, because he beat him with a fastball, and then he came back with that real sharp curveball.
And 0-1 to Thome, a sac fly in the 4th inning, scored Dye, grounded out in the 2nd. Gil's season high is 7 strikeouts. He's done that twice this year. Struck out 7 on April the 23rd at Cleveland, and 7 on May the 8th at the Angels. Gil has not gone 7 innings in his last 6 starts. He's at 85 pitches now through 5 2/3. Popped up. Olivo the only one who has a chance, and he had a long way to go, and really that ball wasn't very high. Tien is playing in the shortstop position right now. Watch the Royals and the Rays on Tuesday at the KC Live area in the Power and Light District. Admission is free. All ages are welcome, and everyone has a chance to win great prizes. It all starts at 5 o'clock. So head out to the Power and Light District on Tuesday. Hang out with Slugger and other Royals fans. Tough trip coming up. Going to Tampa Bay, to Toronto, and then to Cleveland. And the Indians have picked it up, beginning with a series here during the last homestand. Hit hard to center. Meyer got turned around, but adjusts and makes a good catch. That ball was knuckling all over the place, but Meyer makes the play, and Gill has his first 1-2-3 inning. Who that one's for, but happy birthday. Meyer with a tapper back to Burley. Mitch 1 for 3. He's driven in the 2 runs, 1 down in the 6th inning.
This is our Sonic Slam inning, Ryan. And today's contestant is Holly Riggs from Shawnee, Kansas. If the Royals hit a home run this inning, Holly will win $100. But if the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Holly will win $25 grand from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals.
And a home run is only worth $100 because Billy Butler won someone $1,500 with a home run last night. And here's Billy, 0 for 2 so far tonight. Strikeout and a ground out.
Well, I can only imagine a fan sitting at home knowing that they're the Sonic Slam inning contestant, and you got $2,300 on the line, and Billy hits a home run.
Hit hard to center, and in front of Anderson. Billy is 1 for 3. We haven't had a Sonic Slam, as in Grand Slam, in a few years. I think the last one was Matt Stairs, maybe in 2005 in Cleveland, I think. 1 on, 1 out. Want to remind you about bases loaded 4-pack provided by our friends at Bob Evans. It's available for every Friday and Sunday home game. As Guillen grounds to third and into a double play. We'll tell you more about that deal when we come back. Royals send 3 to the plate in the bottom of the 6th inning. is at 88 pitches. And the 2 runs coming from the top of the order. Willie Bloomquist has scored twice. Mitch Meyer has driven in 2. Royals scoring in the first and the third innings against Mark Burley, trying to even the series after the White Sox blew out the Royals last night 11-2. And of course tomorrow Zach Greinke in the series finale. John Danks will pitch for Chicago. Hill trying to go 7 innings tonight. Paul Konerko past the diving Hernandez and into left field. Konerko is 1 for 3, and that's the first time he's gotten the ball past Hernandez. Grounded out to Luis his first 2 times. And now AJ Pierzynski.
Well, Luis does everything he can. This is a hot one hopper in the hole, and he does everything he can to try to stop this ball, but Konerko really squared it up well.
Pierzynski has walked, and he is grounded out to Hernandez. Off of Butler's glove, and Konerko is going to go to third base. First and third, nobody out. That'll be ruled a base hit for Pierzynski.
This is always a tough play for first baseman coming off. Billy just did get the end of his glove on that ball, and by him getting the end of the glove on that ball, it allowed Konerko to go first and third because he doesn't have that kind of speed. They just slowed the ball down enough to allow him to do that.
Ozzie Guillen in his comments after the game, and he'll take runs any way he can get them, and it hasn't been a good offensive year for the White Sox, but he was most impressed with how many times the White Sox went first to third last night. They didn't hit a whole lot of extra base hits, or at least not as many as you would think when you have 17 hits and 11 runs. But Ozzie Guillen has only managed in the major leagues in the American League, but coached quite a bit in the National League, so he is a proponent of more of a balanced offense. Gets away from Olivo. Pierzynski will move up. Konerko will stay at third, so that eliminates a chance for a ground ball and a double play. It is 0-2 on Anderson.
Well, you know, Ryan, you don't really have to be fast to go first and third. Here's this pitch down in the dirt, and it just sort of bounced and went to Olivo's left, but he was able to hold the runner at third base. But Pierzynski did move up to second. But mainly, when you get back to going first and third, it's all about angles. It's all about watching which way the outfielders are going, and whether or not they have a difficult throw to make back to third base. So as a first base coach, you're showing all the different angles on balls you can actually go first and third on, and I think they really did a good job reading the ball last night.
Still 0-2 on Anderson. Gill is over 90 pitches now. John Bale is warming up in the bullpen. Chris Getz, the left-hand hitter, waits on deck. Gill struck out Brian Anderson in the 5th inning. Moving him off the plate, 1-2.
So this is where Olivo's really got to be ready to block a ball here, because Gill, this is the kick where he's going to throw the breaking ball. They want to kind of spike the curve ball down. So Olivo's really got to be ready to block the ball in this situation.
Thought about it. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Gill's wild pitch in this inning, his 4th of the year. Stat you always look at with a runner at third. And the count has gone from 0-2 to 3-2. Got him. Gutsy pitch there on 3-2. Anderson doesn't swing at that pitch. The bases are loaded with nobody out. Gill strikes out his 7th.
Well, Gill has a lot of confidence in his curveball tonight, and he's really able to do what he wants to, whether he's able to bounce it when he wants to, and he's able to keep it on the plate. And that was a real good downer right there. So the only danger is that Olivo's got to be ready to block it because he could hit the dirt.
So 7 strikeouts, all with the curveball. And now 2nd and 3rd, 1 out. Gets up there, and Gill struck him out in the 5th inning. Into right center. Meyer is there. Konerko does not run well, neither does Pierzynski, and Meyer throws over to 3rd. So the game is tied on a Getz sacrifice fly.
Well, that's a tag at 3rd, but Mitch knew right away that he was going to go to 3rd base with this ball. He didn't even hesitate.
So 2 runs will not be enough for the Royals tonight. So Getz drives in his 8th of the year. And now Josh Fields doubled his last time up. Also hit a soft liner to second base. You have to go back 7 starts the last time Gill went 7 innings. 1:10 tomorrow. Coverage beginning at 12:30 with Royals Live. Zach Greinke and John Danks, final game of the series. It'll be in HD, brought to you by Time Warner Cable. Two 2-0. It's also been a few starts since Gill has gone 100 pitches or more. And that was 120 pitches when he took a loss at the Angels on May the 8th. 3-0. Another left-hand batter waits on deck in Podsednik, and John Bale is at least looking at him in the bullpen from here, just kind of playing catch, which would suggest he's warmed up and ready to come in. 3-1.
Well, Gill's really worked hard tonight, and it's been a good performance for him based on his last outing. I mean, you'll take what he's done to this point any night. Your offense just have to score some runs to kind of help you out.
Right center field, Bloomquist back, and that's the inning. White Sox tie it, but they had runners at 2nd and 3rd and nobody out. 6th home run in his last 4 games, and that is not a cheapie. So Baltimore has tied Detroit at 3. Mark Teahen takes a strike from Mark Burley, who has just thrown his 78th pitch. So he's on pace to go 12 innings tonight. Count is 0-2 on Teahen, who has singled and grounded out to first. So one Central Division team has already lost tonight, and we'll show you the scores in a moment. Burley without a walk, he has struck out 4. 1-2 to Teahen. Royals have not scored since the 3rd inning. Got a run in the first. Bloomquist tripled leading off the bottom of the first. Mitch Myers' ground ball got him home, and then Bloomquist singled with 2 outs in the 3rd, and Myers' triple got him home. Still 1-2. Let's check some of those scores. Brought to you by Panera Bread. Toronto has now won 2 in a row after snapping their long losing streak. Tampa Bay over Minnesota. David Price wins his first. There's that tie game. Detroit at Baltimore. Baltimore's won 5 in a row. Teahen just barely nicked it. Still 1-2. CC Sabathia did not allow a hit until the 5th inning, pitching against his former team in Cleveland. Oakland has lost 3 in a row. They're leading Texas. Seattle and Los Angeles later tonight. Rangers hanging in there. They're 10 games above 500 and leading the division by 4.5. 5 strikeouts for Mark Burley. 1 down in the bottom of the 7th inning. I want to remind you again about Royals alumni fans batting practice July the 11th, 8 a.m. until noon here at Kauffman Stadium. 10 Royals alumni to work with you. Limited to just 40 spots. $300 per adult, $100 for each kid. And the telephone number to call, 816-504-4150. So you'll be here at the ballpark from 8 a.m. until noon. Curveball hit up the middle. Ramirez, great play to throw him out. Showing off his range. 2 up, 2 down in the bottom of the 7th.
I tell you, nothing excites you like good defense right here. He had this ball measured right away, does his 360, and made a real nice throw to first base. He had this ball measured all the way. And we marveled at him playing second base last year, and now he's over to what they say is his natural position of shortstop.
One 1-0 to DeJesus. He is 0 for 2. Mark Burley has not gone more than 18 pitches tonight, or at least 18 pitches in an inning. At the knees over the outside corner. And in his last 2 innings before this one, 8 in the 5th, 5 in the 6th. Did DeJesus swing?
Well, I think if I'd have been the hitter, I'd have ran on that one.
Yeah, no need to play umpire.
I would have ran on that one right away. I mean, that.
Oh, went off of his bat.
Oh, hit the ground and hit the bat.
I mean, if the ball hits the bat, run. But I'm sure that's a play that David's never seen before.
That's a play that you rarely ever see. A ball in the dirt hitting the bat.
Still 1-2. Mark Burley going for his 20th career win against the Royals. He has gone at least 7 innings in his last 4 starts with an ERA below 2. He's pitching very well coming in tonight and has pitched well again tonight. 2 runs, 6 hits in 6 2/3 innings.
Well, he's done a good job hitting the target too. Everywhere AJ Pierzynski's asked for the ball, he's had it right there.
Strikes out his 6th. Royals down in order in the 7th. Certainly pitched good enough for a win, giving up only 2 runs in 7 innings, striking out 7. In one of the innings, he got around a runner at third, nobody out. The White Sox tied the game in the 7th, but they had second and third and nobody out. And he allowed just the 1 run on the Chris Getz sacrifice fly. And now Podsednik lays down a bunt. Bale to Butler. Too late. Trey Hillman is going to argue, and I think he's going to argue because the first base umpire Paul Nauert took his eye off the play. And I think Trey thought that looked kind of funny. Took his eye as he was watching the ball. He was not watching Billy's foot on the bag, and then called safe.
Well, this is a play here where John Bell, once he got the ball, he should have just given it up, but he ran a couple of more steps and had trouble getting it out of his glove, and that's really what cost him the play right there.
Well, it was the right call. So Podsednik, after going 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts against Gill, gets a bunt single. And now Ramirez, who already has a bunt single tonight, showing bunt. I think it was just kind of that flinch and looking in one direction and then calling save. It looked like he wasn't totally convinced with the call.
I didn't know if he thought the ball got by, or he looked like he's watching the ball go down the right field line, but he did get the call right.
Podsednik, 3 stolen bases. He's been thrown out 3 times. Still runs well. Not quite what he was 5 years ago with Milwaukee when he stole 70, which was a Brewers record.
Yeah, it really looked like Bell had a hard time making a decision on that bunt. Almost like when he first got it, his intention was to try to run to the bag himself, and then realized that wasn't going to work, and then had trouble getting it out of his glove in order to give it to Billy.
Ramirez looks like he's going to pull the bat back. He lays down the bunt to the first base side. Again, a tough play for Bale. Safe. Billy Butler took the ball away from Alberto Callaspo.
This play right here, Billy's got to keep coming on this play. But that's the one play that you want your first baseman to come all the way on, is a ball down the line, because you know the second baseman's coming over, and he gave it away early enough that Billy could have been down lower. But once Billy started running back toward first base, he just forgot that Callaspo was going to be at the bag.
So 2 bunt singles. That's not what Ramirez wanted. He wanted to sacrifice. He was giving himself up. But because of some confusion over there, he ends up with a hit, his second hit, both on bunts, and now 2 on, nobody out, with Dye, Thome, and Konerko coming up.
Well, when you talk about bunt plays, Ryan, you're talking about what's my responsibility. Once that Ramirez gave the bunt away, Billy's responsibility is to come down the line, and when the ball's bunted down the line, he's got to come all the way down and really feel the ball and make the play.
Now, you being a second baseman, and of course it looks bad when Billy takes the ball away from a guy standing in the bag, but is there any responsibility on Callaspo's part to let Billy Butler know that he's at the bag?
Well, not really, because he's working hard to get to the bag and get set up for the throw himself, and then once he sees the bunt down, he assumes Billy's already gone down to field the ball. So right here, John Bell is looking to throw the ball to second base, and then Billy just steps right back in the way and took the throw.
So then what you're saying is Billy has to know where he is and know that he's not a part of the play and get out of the way.
Yeah, right. Once Bell fielded the ball, Billy should just clear and gave him a better shot at getting the ball to Casper, because on a sac bunt, the second baseman was always coming. And when the ball's down the line, the balls get bunted to the third base side. Now Billy can go back to first base and be there for that throw.
So a couple of bunts that could have been outs turning into hits, and now it's 3-1 on Dye. Just missed a home run when he tripled off the wall in center field in the 4th, and then scored the White Sox first run on the corner, and the count is full.
John Bell throws a fastball right on the outside corner, a little tailing fastball that really is his pitch. Jermaine really didn't want to swing at that pitch on a 3-1 count. Now the question is whether Adjagin going to run his base runners on this 3-2 count.
It'd be a big risk. Takes the walk, and they're loaded up for Thome. 2 bunt singles and a walk. Bases loaded, nobody out. Tonight's copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Kansas City Royals. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation. Ryan Lefebvre with Frank White and Joel Goldberg. So Podsednik with a bunt single at first. Ramirez a bunt single at second. Dye with a walk at first. And now setting up the lefty-lefty with Jim Thome stepping in. Juan Cruz warming up. He could come on to face Paul Konerko. Konerko 0 for 2. He has a sac fly, or Thome rather. To Bale, off of his glove. And they barely get the out at first. White Sox take the lead 3-2. So Thome drives in his second. It has been an adventure on the right side of the infield in this inning.
Well, it's been kind of the John Bell show. He's been on every ball. He's really moving well, getting off the bag. And between him and Billy, they're having a hard time trying to decide what balls to go for. And they're having a conversation now. But normally you want to know before the pitch who's got what lane and what you're trying to cover.
Royals are going to walk Paul Konerko and try and set up a ground ball and a double play from AJ Pierzynski. Konerko 1 for 3 with a run scored. Well, with one out in the 8th inning in a situation like this, you could bring in Joakim Soria if he were healthy, but Joakim is on his way back from the DL. And with more on that, here's Joel.
Well, that is the good news, Ryan. He pitched in Arizona today and sounding like the Soria of old. He threw 23 pitches and got 7 outs in those 23 pitches. He is flying back home, although Dayton Moore on the pregame show on Royals Live today saying he didn't think that they would activate him tomorrow, but certainly sounds like there's a good chance on the road trip. He did say, though, that the news not as encouraging on Mike Aviles, who is out there on the disabled list with that forearm injury. He said that he's going to go and see Dr. Louis Yoakum next week, and that is certainly not something that anybody wanted to hear, guys.
All right, thanks, Joel. Well, bases loaded, 1 out, and now Bale to Pierzynski. The White Sox have taken the lead. Not only have they not gotten the ball out of the infield, they haven't gotten a ball to the infield dirt yet. To Cayaspo, great play. Double play. The White Sox get just 1. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. 3-2 White Sox, bottom of the 8th inning. So disappointing top of the 8th for the Royals as they allow a run. And a ball didn't even get to the infield dirt. And now Levo into deep left center. Back goes Podsednik with Anderson. The game is tied again. Well, Frank, there you go again. Someone who was not in the original starting lineup has a big impact in the game.
Well, he definitely had a big impact right there, Ryan. He just got a 89 mile an hour cutter and just really drove that ball into left center field. I mean, never got over. They got almost over everything.
Oh, 1 to Hernandez. He grounds to Fields. 1 out in the bottom of the 8th inning.
Well, Miguel's really concentrating hard on this. He hit every ball in batting practice to right field to try to keep that front shoulder in. And he gets this ball, and he just really knows he's got it right away. He does his little jump after he hits it. He knows he's got that one.
Olivo, who came on in the bottom of the 3rd inning when John Buck left with lower back spasms, ties the game. Sandwiches and savory breakfast items. Panera Bread, where every detail matters. Well, this sellout crowd was down when the Royals came up in the bottom of the 8th inning. As the White Sox coming back from 2-0, tying in the top of the 8th, but that only lasted for 1 pitch.
One big pitch.
Miguel Olivo's home run to tie it after Hernandez ground out. Ozzie Guillen bringing in Scott Linebrink to face Willie Bloomquist. And Willie got 2 hits and a line out against Mark Burley. So his success against Burley continues tonight. That makes Willie 11 for 22, a .500 batting average against Mark Burley. So good time for a pitching change. Burley through just 95 pitches. .94 on the corner, and it's 0-2. So Mark Burley will not win his 20th career game against the Royals tonight. Still 0-2. Well, we thought we might see good pitching tonight, and we did. Burley 3 runs in 7 1/3. Mesh 2 runs in 7 innings. John Bale gave up the then go-ahead run in the top of the 8th. 1-2 on Bloomquist. That continues a run that the White Sox have been on now for about a week and a half, where their starting pitcher has pitched well. Now it's up to the bullpens. 94, and Willie chasing a pitch he had no chance of hitting. 2 down.
And this is a big change from Mark Burley right here, going from 87, 88, 89 to 94.
Canerco plays the second hop, and that's the inning. But the Royals tie it on Miguel Olivo's home run to left field. Well, we go to the 9th inning on a beautiful night. Sellout crowd at Kauffman Stadium, tied at 3. In the 8th, our defensive play of the game brought to you by the Home Depot, doing more on defense.
That was a great play, Ryan. That was a play there where the Royals were in danger of giving up more than 1 run in the 8th, and Alberto Caspo turned that hot hit ground ball into a double play. So that enabled Olivo to hit that big home run, and now they're in a tie ball game.
And Juan Cruz will pitch the 9th. Dwayne Wise is going to hit for Brian Anderson, and nearly hit by the first pitch. So Anderson, a right-hand batter, is out. Wise is in. Juan Cruz appearing for the 20th time. One and one. Dwayne Wise batted once last night, lined out to left. Just called back up off the disabled list when Carlos Quinton was placed on the DL before last night's game. He's down on 4 pitches, 1 away in the 9th.
Well, this is turning it up right here. This is that borderline fastball that just keeps climbing, and Wise just couldn't catch up with it.
Now Chris Getz, who tied the game at 2 with a sac fly in the 7th inning. Got an update last inning from Joel on Joakim Soria, who pitched again today and is on his way back to Kansas City, so could be back from the DL soon. And we mentioned in the 8th that if Joakim were available, might have been a spot where he came on early to get more than 3 outs for a save. And a lot of teams, if their closer is adequately rested, they will come on for the top of the 9th inning in a tie game. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And right now, Juan Cruz is the guy that Trey Hillman points to in the save situations.
Well, this is a slider here, Ryan, that really just left it up. Jets just swung right through that one.
And now he drives it into center field for a 1-out single. So 1 on, 1 out. And the batter is Josh Fields.
And when you got a fastball like Juan Cruz has, and you throw it right by a hitter, then you kind of go to from 94 to 81. You're kind of doing a guy like Getz a favor, because he's actually cut down his swing with two strikes, just try to put the ball in play.
One and 0 on Fields, a double in the 5th inning. 1 for 3, and in the series he is 4 for 7. Added 13 points to his average in this series. Getz with 4 stolen bases, thrown out once. Something you know you're going to get from Josh Fields, even though his average isn't quite where they want it to be, is he's going to be calm in situations like this. You figure a big crowd, a lot of pressure, but when you're a former Big 12 quarterback, you're used to playing in big crowds, except you've got 300-pound linemen chasing you around.
37,000 is not a lot to him.
Saw Clayton Richard pitch last night for Chicago, a former quarterback at the University of Michigan, and a few years ago White Sox drafted in the 1st round Joe Borchard, who was a quarterback at Stanford. Getz has already stolen a base tonight, not running, and now it's 3-1 to Fields.
There's a pretty good chance he'll be running here, Ryan, because Cruz has to throw a strike.
Fouled away. He was not going. That might have more to do with Fields with 48 strikeouts this year, and Miguel Oliva with a great arm.
Well, that's true. And Juan Cruz is not really that slow to the plate either. So all those things work well.
Fans would love to see a strikeout. Running this time, and that's ball 4. 2 on, 1 out, and now the top of the order. Royals with a run in the 1st, 1 in the 3rd, had a 2-0 lead. White Sox 1 in the 4th, 1 in the 7th, 1 in the 8th to lead 3-2, and the Royals just tied it in the bottom of the 8th. Remember, you can stay connected to the game on your computer if you subscribe to MLB.TV. The new 2009 MLB.TV Premium features include HD quality where available, and the ability to pause, fast forward, and rewind live games. For more details, visit Royals.com, where baseball is always on. Well, the White Sox with 1 run on 3 hits in the first 6 innings, but now in the last 3 innings they've had base runners all over the place. 2 in the 7th. They had the bases loaded on 2 different occasions. In the 8th, only scored 1 run, and now first and second and 1 away for Podsednik, who scored the then go-ahead run in the 8th. He is 1 for 4. And pounding on his right hip, I guess, to remind himself, don't be chasing a pitch like that.
Stay back, stay back.
Now it's 2-0. Podsednik was a big hero in Chicago in 2005, his first year. White Sox went to the World Series. He did not hit a single home run during the regular season, but he homered in his first game of the first round of the playoffs, and then he won game 2 of the World Series against Houston with a walk-off home run in Chicago. Hammered into right field. Bloomquist is on it, but Getz is around third. He will score. Royals should get an out on Podsednik in between first and second. And Butler drops the ball. Podsednik way out of the baseline and is out at second base. I guess they're going to say that's incidental running out of the baseline, but he was a good 4 steps on the infield grass. With everything happening on that play, the White Sox take a 4-3 lead. David DeJesus had come in.
Lucky for the Royals, Mitch Meyer and David Davis at second base. That really got out of control real fast right there.
So Podsednik with his 7th RBI. Now runner at third, 2 down for Alexi Ramirez, who floats one towards Callaspo, who missed it. Another run is going to score. A diving attempt, it appeared that he was there. So it's 5-3 Chicago in the 9th.
Well, he really had a good beat on it, Ryan. Look, the ball just never went in the glove. He's right there.
That'll be ruled a hit for Ramirez and his 23rd RBI of the year. So the Royals are going to need at least 2 in the bottom of the 9th inning. Jermaine Dye 1 for 3. And now Ramirez is running. Olivo's throw is right on the bag, and Ramirez doesn't even bother sliding. 2 runs for the White Sox, but coming up in the bottom of the 9th, Billy Butler, who homered last night. Jose Guillen, who has 4 this year, and Mark Tien, who has hit 6. All of that and more, including the Royals hitting 2 more triples. They lead the American League in that department. Coming up on Boulevard Royals Live. Bobby Jenks coming on for his 11th save. He has 1 blown save. And he'll deal with Butler, Guillen, and Tien. Billy 1 out of 3 singled in the 6th inning. 99 on the outside corner. Billy has faced Bobby Jenks 5 times, has 1 hit. Jeez. 99 on the outside corner. Wow.
All you can do is look at that. You can't do anything with that pitch right there. I mean, this thing is just crackling in there. I mean, 99 miles an hour on the block. I mean, even if you got your bat on it, you're probably going to break it or scribble it over in the Rawls dugout.
I mean, to put it in perspective, I mean, if you throw that pitch at 89 miles an hour, it's going to be effective, right?
I think so.
I mean, last night in our sprint, you call it, you said that a well-placed fastball is the most difficult pitch to hit, but we weren't talking about 99 miles an hour. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
It's a good example of what we talk about knowing when to use pitches. He throws 2 fastballs right on the block of the plate for strikes, and now he goes 2 back-to-back breaking balls, and now it's 2-2.
You know, I think you said it best the other night. I mean, we've been trying to figure out why so many pitchers do that. Is it because they want to show that they can throw all of their pitches? I think you said it best. Nowadays, some pitchers would rather embarrass a hitter and get a strikeout as opposed to just getting an out.
I think it's more embarrassing as a hitter to get 3 pitches thrown right by you. I mean, to me, that would be more embarrassing to get. I mean, you throw 99 miles an hour and you fool me on a breaking ball, big deal. You know, you're supposed to. Because if you throw 99, I'm looking for your fastball.
That one at 100 miles an hour. We've seen some gas on this homestand with Justin Verlander, Joel Zamaya, Fernando Rodney,
Perry. Richard was at 96.
Well, there you go, Frank. 0-2 to 3-2 because.
And all the balls have been on breaking ball.
Yep.
Now, if you can't trust a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, I don't know what you can trust.
Drilled to center, but right at and almost through Dwayne Wise. Who, by the way, is in center field.
Well, the difference between the fastballs now, Billy's looking for it 3-2, and he throws it right down the heart of the plate, and Billy really put a good swing on it, but didn't elevate it. But he definitely got to it. Because hitters can't speed up to 100 miles an hour, but when it's on the corner, there's not much they can do about it.
And now Guillen, who's had a tough night against Mark Burley, 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts and a double play. Guillen is 0 for 5 against Bobby Jenks. 1 ball, 1 strike. Bobby Jenks' blown save was not against the Royals, but the Royals did get him late in a game and tagged him with a loss. That was during the opening series of the season in Chicago on a Thursday afternoon. Grounded to Getz as Jenks got it in on the hands. 2 down in the bottom of the 9th inning. And a tie game in the top of the 9th inning. And a man on. Coco Crisp hit a 2-run home run off of Bobby Jenks to right field, and that was the game-winning hit, and the Royals took 2 out of 3 from Chicago in Chicago.
That was that fastball that probably 98 miles an hour that he got in on Coco, but left it out over the plate, and Coco really turned on it.
Oh, and 1 to Tien. Tien 1 for 3 tonight, but he is 0 for 10 against Jenks with 5 strikeouts. One and one. The Royals need a base runner for a chance, and if Tien is that guy, then Trey Hillman is going to bat Mike Jacobs for Alberto Callaspo. On the corner at 94. Tien telling home plate umpire Chad Fairchild he thought that pitch was outside, or he's saying that pitch is unhittable. Easy for you to say. Sitting back there with your mask, hands on your hips.
All you gotta do is raise your hand up.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Left side, pass Fields, pass Ramirez, and the Royals are still breathing in the 9th. If you've ever wondered what the term seeing eye base hit means, watch this replay.
Well, Josh Fields really had a beat on this ball, but at the last minute he thought about, well, we got somebody there, and he pulled his glove back, and Ramirez had given up on the plate thinking he had the ball.
Now Mike Jacobs, before he was even announcing the game, his picture up on the Crown Vision, and he's become a fan favorite with his all or nothing approach. And the Royals know that all would mean a tie game. Fifth sellout of the year at Kauffman Stadium. Almost 38,000 here tonight. Watch the Royals take a 2-0 lead into the 4th. White Sox got their first run. Chicago tied it in the 7th, took the lead in the 8th, 3-2, and then Miguel Olivo leading off the bottom of the 8th homered to tie it, and Chicago just got 2 in the top of the 9th. Jenks to Jacobs. Ball 1 at 100 miles an hour.
Well, I don't think you can simulate 100 miles an hour in the batting cage. So you got to really be able to gauge it and get those hands working.
Well, he got a chance to look at a pitch, and it wasn't a strike. Jacobs has never faced Bobby Jenks. One and one. Billy Butler and Willie Bloomquist had to deal with a similar situation when we were in St. Louis. They had to come off the bench and face Jason Mott, who was throwing 98, 99 miles an hour. With 2 outs, nobody on, Tien somehow got one in between Fields and Ramirez, leading us to Jacobs and Jenks. It'll be a tough pitch to hit. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Yeah, Mike really prefers the ball to be lower out over the plate, just above knee high. That running fastball at that speed, it's going to be hard for him to catch up with it.
Tien's running. Got him on the corner. And Jacobs knew it. So the White Sox have won the series, taking the first 2 games, and now they've won their last 4 series.